Okay, so if you are looking to buy an AE86, this is your AE86 chassis problems buyer guide thing. Okay, so I have a really great example of a car that I'm going to go over. This is a shell, well, it wasn't a shell, but I bought it to be a parts car. So I'm going to show you all of the problem areas to look out for on these if you're looking to buy an AE86. Areas where you'll probably find rust or damage or corrosion or things like that. Okay, so first things first, the pockets. These are the pockets. We're not talking about rockers, we're talking about pockets. And the reason why I look out for this is that when water leaks into the trunk or whatever, it always collects in here and they rot out. Plus, it's behind bumper covers, so you can see this one, they started to patch it here. It's rusting out in several spots. And, well, you can't see inside there, but this is the pockets. So take a look to see if they're rusted. I'm gonna go over to the other side, and we're gonna show you the other side. Sorry my garage is a mess. I've got 3 86 parts worth in my garage. Okay, look, this one, you can clearly see they tried to repair it right there, so that's bad. That is the pockets. Those are the pockets. That's where to look for rust. First place. Okay, second most common place, stuff like this. Right here along the fender, or along the wheel well, or the bumper mounts, okay? Both front and back, that's a good place to look in the fender arches there. Also, rockers. You can see this has some paint on it. Well, that's because they tried to do some rust repair. Hang on, let me get a flashlight out. Look at all that rust in there. So, yeah, it's common for these to rot out down here. The old school way to fix it was you would just buy fenders that somebody took off their car and chop the front or chop the bottom of it and weld it on. But what you'll find is that metal front fenders are difficult to find now, so that's not really a repair. There are some aftermarket companies that sell metal OEM replacement panels, Wolf Steel or something like that. They make a patch panel for that. Also, the front fenders, they tend to rot out down here. These are actually really good condition. Most of the time they start rusting through down here. Okay, another place to look for rust, as I knock stuff over, right here, okay? This is a good place to look for rust. It'll rot through here pretty quick. The carpet tends to wear through, and then you end up getting some rust behind there from your feet kicking around. So that's common. Also, another common place for rust, right there in the wheel well. Sometimes also right here in the wheel well. So wheel wells rust through, and when you got the panels on, you can't see it. So really, you got to jack it up and look at it with a flashlight. So wheel wells. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. This car, surprisingly, it's not bad, but it's common for these here this is the rear seat mount. It's only held in place by a couple of spot welds. And so over the years, yeah, 1, 2, 3 of you sitting on it and bouncing the seat and hitting bumps and all that, this will actually pull those spot welds out and that mount will flatten. 2 of my cars have had that. This one, surprisingly, it's still held in place. Oh, there's 4 spot welds. So that's another thing to look out for. Now, another area to look for rust, boom, right there. Right where the 4-link mounts to the chassis, this is the lower one, these are rusting out now. That is you didn't used to see this has been a recent thing. There are normally holes opening in there, and so water gets up in there and just rots it straight out. Okay, next area to look for damage, rust, whatever. A lot of people, when they drift their car, they'll put negative camber roll center adjusters on the car, and so what that does is that pushes the ball joint out but allows the wheel and strut to swing around that. So the wheel swings forward more and back more as you turn. It messes up scrub radius and all that, but it gives you negative camber. Anyway, what happens is people hammer this area here, okay? Now, on my hatchback AE86 that I'm doing 11 front end on, that's been hammered in because it was a drift car. So just something to be aware of. In that one, the actual fuse boxes don't fit super well because of that. So that's another thing to look out for. Oh, now a common failure that there is a repair kit for, this has the frame rails chopped off, obviously, so you're not really going to see it, but the front frame rails start to flex and pull away from the chassis. That there you can see is the seam sealer popping off there, but essentially over time of aggressive driving or whatever, the frame rails just kind of bounce up and down and start to separate. So something to be aware of. When it gets really bad, you'll even see like this area crumpling, so, or splitting apart. Oh, also another thing, on old cars, when somebody replaces the windshield, and if it wasn't done properly, when they removed it, they actually score the paint a little bit. So the windshield seat here, whatever you want to call it, it's pretty common for that to rust through. On my hatchback, that's what's happened, so I need to repair it. But yeah, just something to be aware of. Like you can pour water over it, and if water comes inside, you know it's probably rusted through. And yeah, that concludes this video about common AE86 rust areas. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I do a lot of AE86 content, as well as Beam's AE86 content. So yeah, check out my other videos.